Israel has been left on high alert after a ballistic missile fired from more than 1,000 miles away in Yemen reached the center of the country for the first time. People were seen rushing to shelters as air raid sirens were sounded in the central regions of the country at around 6:30 a.m. local time on Sunday, including at Israel's main airport. But Israeli officials said parts of the missile fell in an unpopulated open area about 7 kilometers from their airport and that no injuries had been reported so far.
A long-range ballistic missile, fired from at least 2,000 kilometers away, in Yemen has hit central Israel. Houthis have taken the responsibility for the attack. After the incident, firefighters were putting out a brush fire near the city of Lod and saw broken glass at a train station in Modin. Both areas are southeast of Tel Aviv, Israel's commercial hub. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned Yemen's Houthi face a heavy price.
אנחנו במערכה רב-זירתית מול ציר הרשע של איראן שחותר להשמדתנו.
Yemen's Houthis have been launching attacks against Israel and its perceived interest in what they say is solidarity with Palestinians during the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza Strip. After the Houthis' deadly attack on Tel Aviv in July, Israeli warplanes bombed Houthi-controlled Hodeidah in response, destroying much of the facility's fuel storage capacity and killing several people. As the conflict in the Middle East expands, eyes are on how the international community will respond and whether the region is headed towards a broader, more destructive war. With Mohammad Ghazali, Bureau Report, NDTV.
My colleague Mohammad Ghazali has been tracking the finer details for us. He joins us live at the moment. Ghazali, many analysts point out that the fact that the missile made landfall at all has raised regional concern that the Houthis are advancing their military strength with Tehran's support.
Yeah, certainly. You see what happened in July when one person was killed, a drone managed to penetrate into Israel's air defense system. And even yesterday, when this ballistic missile was launched from Yemen, initially there has been no such comment whether the Iron Dome arrow system of Israel's defense system managed to sort of strike it down or not. But some sources in the Israeli army were quoted saying that perhaps it managed to strike it down, and that is why some part of this ballistic missile fell in an open area. One of the parts hit a bridge area and also a railway station, a metro railway station called in the area called Modi'in. Now, what is more concerning is that despite Israel's retaliation against the Houthis in July itself by bombing their port and also killing several members of the Houthi group, it has not backed down. And that is a major concern, not just for Israel, but also countries like Saudi and UAE, because Saudi had launched a campaign against Houthis. Aerial attacks happened like 5-6 years ago. And now, why this is concerning? Because Saudis and Iran have had the rapprochement via China a couple of years ago. And despite that, Iran continues to support Saudi Houthis in Yemen. And that is a big concern for the Middle Eastern countries, that whether by arming Houthis who managed to attack Israel, being 2,000 kilometers away from Israel, whether this entire conflict is now expanding. Because for the last 2 months, there were hectic negotiations between the Middle Eastern players like Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, who usually play as mediator between Israel and Hamas. But there has been no breakthrough as far as ceasefire is concerned. And Houthis who keep attacking Israel, who are attacking the Red Sea route, who have impacted the entire maritime security in that region, now continue to attack Israel. And Israel doesn't have any other option rather than retaliating or accepting a ceasefire proposal being floated by US and other Middle Eastern players. So whether the air defense system managed to sort of strike down this ballistic missile completely, that fact is not shared yet by the Israeli army. And whether the Houthis will continue to attack into Israel the way they did yesterday. So that is also a bigger concern for Israel, because Israel, as analysts say, that they can't afford to have a multi-front war, be it on the Lebanon side on their border, or with the Houthis, or with Hamas, which is ongoing for the last 1 year almost.
Also, Ghazali, the Houthis announced that they used a new hypersonic ballistic missile that traveled over 2,000 kilometers in just 11 and a half minutes. What do we know about this new technology?
See, as we know that Houthis are only getting support from Iran, but Iran and Yemen don't share borders. So perhaps what we are being told that perhaps via Iraq and all, Iran continues to supply these missiles, these weapons to Houthis. Iran faces sanctions. There is a global outrage from the West as we see a growing bonhomie between Russia and Iran, that Iran has been sending missiles and Iran has been sending drones to Russia. And the same has been supplied to Houthis as well, because Houthis don't have a facility where they can develop these kind of missiles or these kind of projectiles. Though they claim yesterday, while claiming responsibility with this attack, they even said that there are more surprises for Israel and will continue to launch similar ballistic missiles towards Israel. But the larger point is that how a small nation, which is blocked by its hostile neighbors like UAE, like Saudi, who are not providing them any aid in terms of arms and ammunition, how do they manage to receive such large and technologically superior kind of weapons, and from where? It is certainly Iran, because Iran continues to support them. Iran exports arms towards Syria, towards Lebanon, to all its proxy militias. And this is one of its team in the Middle East, in the Yemen area, where these are controlling it since 2014. So despite all the military action, what Israel did last month, a couple of months ago in July, or what Saudis and their joint forces with the Western powers have been trying to control Houthis, has certainly failed. And Houthis have time and again shown that they will continue with this attack until Israel accepts the peace plan, until accepts the ceasefire plan, which is being shared by the US. Until then, perhaps the situation will remain critical. And all these sanctions on Russia or even Iran has certainly not worked when it comes, or it has not proven detrimental when it comes to stopping these proxy militias from using weapons or launching attacks on Israel.
Absolutely. As always, Ghazali, thank you so much for joining us with the latest details and also contextualizing the story for us. It's important to note that this attack might escalate the situation further, as Ghazali is reporting. In fact, the Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu, his promise to make the Houthis pay a heavy price suggests that Israel could take substantial retaliatory actions which might increase regional tensions.